cards. We're about to give it to him, and we will watch them do battle.
And for Brad, a lot of these matches are starting to feel like win-and-ins for the Players' Championship on top of being win-and-ins for Opens.
Yep.
He is on the bubble right now, I believe currently just on the outside looking in, but a lot of work to be done, and a top 8 here is such a big deal.
It's game number 1 of round number 8. Bernal with a Scalding Tarn. He will sacrifice that, search up a land. We'll see what he wants to go get.
I believe he's also, yeah, he appears to be on 4 cards also, which is a little rough.
That's not very many of those.
No. Though we nearly saw Steve Rubin pull off a 4-card win against Todd Anderson yesterday in the Standard Open.
And if there had been enough time, he may have won. It was a draw.
Yeah.
Here's a Brainstorm. So a couple of cards coming to the grip. Plateau, Volcanic Island, and a Mystery as he does shuffle them up, and then we'll figure out what he wants to put back.
And Joe doing this on the main phase, because he's on 4 cards and his hand is as weak as it is, he cannot afford to have something bad happen to this Brainstorm. If it gets Spell Pierce, if it gets Dazed, whatever, he has to do it right now, even though it's not technically when you're supposed to Brainstorm, because it's just too risky to let Brad counter it.
Nelson pondering. He'll take a look at the top 3, decide if he's happy with what he sees. Okay, give it a long look. And he's happy. We'll send it back Bernal's way. Bernal does have a land. There's a Stoneforge Mystic. Card he is really well known for casting. He absolutely loves this thing.
And leftovers in his hand are pretty solid.
It's not bad. For a mold of 4, it's not bad.
I believe an actual, factual counterspell and Jason the Mind Sculptor.
Very nice. 2 good cards.
Again, on 4 cards, you can't ask for much more than this.
This is true. Batterskull's going to go to the grip. Matchup's tough, but outside of that, I mean, you got to be happy. You have to be happy with that 4 cards. You have a chance to play. Scalding Tarn, Brainstorm. 3 cards coming, 2 going to go back, and wouldn't be surprised to see Brad fetch this turn as well. Getting it all set up for the big turn. Looks like he's going to put back at least 1 copy of Sneak Attack.
Brad's presence casting a dark shadow over his hand.
Yeah. That's done resolving. And he looks content passing.
This is the thing about Legacy. If you're relatively new to the format, a lot of the game are played in each other's hands. If you're used to Standard, it's on the board. So even though it doesn't look like a lot's going on here, Brad's casting a spell and saying go. The permutations of everything that he can do with these cantrips and these fetch lands, it's very complicated.
All right, so let's see what they can put together here. Joe has drawn his card already, I think. Actually, Brad's got another Brainstorm here.
I think Joe just untapped and passed.
Yep, ready to put Batterskull into play.
Batterskull if Brad does nothing, and Counterspell if he does.
Brad's probably trying to figure out a way that he can go off, like, next turn with protection, because he does have a Force Will in his hand.
You don't want to drag the game out for too long.
Yeah.
Decks like Joe's, they have Force of Wills, they have soft counters, Vendilion clicks. Even on 4 cards, you're better served shutting the door quickly.
Also, if you know Joe and what kind of decks and cards he likes to play, he plays Jace. He plays Vendilion clicks. That's kind of his style of Magic and Legacy.
Exactly. He plays control decks. He's always playing with Stoneforge Mystic, but his decks rarely are sitting on their heels the whole game. He does like playing to the board to some extent.
Nelson going to draw a card here. Volcanic Island's what he's put up. Cataxian Probe to see if the coast is clear. Counterspell, Batterskull, Jace says that it's not particularly clear. Counterspell's the big one there, of course.
Now, Brad has seen a lot of cards, so there's a reasonable chance he can just power through this with Force of Will backup.
Well, if he's casting a spell, he's powering through it. There's show and tell. There's Counterspell. Yep, Force plus blue card. Just deciding what blue card to remove. Looks like it's going to be a ponder. Bernal ready to put a card in play, as is Nelson. There's Emrakul.
I do not believe that Joe has made room for a Caracas in this list.
Yeah, the classic Caracas check. Bernal will draw, and he's done playing. Brad Nelson going to win game number 1 here off the back of a resolved show and tell and a mulligan to 4 there from Joe Bernal. Both players going to go to the boards. We are going to do the same, and we will start with Joe.
3 copies of Flusterstorm, 2 Blood Moons, 3 copies of Containment Priest, woohoo, 2 Pithy Needles, 2 Blue Elemental Blast, 2 copies of Power Class of Council's Judgment. The Flusterstorms, the Pithy Needles, the Blue Elemental Blast, and especially the Containment Priest seem excellent here.
Containment Priest is the biggie. You know, the new kid on the block plays a huge role in this matchup, and we'll see if Brad is prepared for that sort of thing coming from Joe's sideboard. He does have 3 Pyroclasms, a Blood Moon, 3 Defense Grids, 4 Leyline of Sanctity, 2 Graph Trigger's Cages, and 2 copies of Shattering Spree. You know, this is kind of a matchup where I don't think you would typically board in Pyroclasm, but it could be very helpful here. So
maybe, and maybe this is something that Sneak and Show players just have to start doing against white decks like the one that Joe's playing, because Containment Priest is a real big risk.
Yeah.
I think that Joe may, Brad rather, may bring in the 1 copy of Blood Moon, even though it's not that good against Joe's list. He has a bunch of basics, because Joe started on just Volcanic Island and Tundra. He looks like a 3-color deck that would trade mana, so the 1 Blood Moon might come in, even though it's not especially good against Joe.
Well, these players will shuffle up. And while we do wait for game number 2, we will talk about states and regionals for next year happening on Pro Tour weekends.
Yeah, we're really happy to finally expand this program to a year-round thing. As you can see, we have regional championships set up for winter and summer of 2015 and state championships for spring and autumn. We've just announced the venues and locations for the regional championships in February. That information is available on StarCityGames.com. If you want more information, you can always go to StarCityGames.com/regionals. And the first 200 players that sign up for each regional championship will receive a free playmat that you see right here. Again, StarCityGames.com/regionals for more information. And keep in mind, we have announced the venue dates, so make sure to head over to the website and see what regional championship is nearest to you.
Gonna be sweet.
It is.
Looking forward to it. I just want the playmat personally.
That might be my first tournament since Grand Prix Sydney.
Oh my God. Grand Prix Sydney was like August for you?
Unless you count a side draft at GP Orlando.
I don't.
Okay, then it might be regionals for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
The gaps in play are so big.
I know.
You know?
What am I going to do, you know? Can't be out in the feature match here. I'm out here hanging out with you every weekend.
That's true. That's true. I'm really excited for Portland at the beginning of next month.
That's going to be fun.
Just going to dial it up.
I think that when's the last time that you've gotten to commentate on one of my matches? The last time you battled.
I've never commentated on one of your matches. Ever.
Okay.
Not once. I would bash you into the ground because I would turn off the professionalism just a little bit.
Are you sure you were on the LA team, right?
No.
You and Chapin a bunch of years ago?
No. I'm
Okay.
100%. I've never commentated on one of your matches.
Okay.
Yeah.
You would bash me, huh? That's not nice.
I don't think so. I couldn't do it. I say that I couldn't do it.
That's not nice.
I wouldn't. I don't know. I don't think I could possibly root for your opponent. You know, I try to be unbiased here in the booth, but I would be rooting for you to win.
I thank you.
There's that. I would want to see. Okay, I take it back. I did. I commentated on the. I know what you're talking about now. The Ross Merriam match. You and Ross.
And I had a run in the Standard Open too.
Yeah,
I think
yeah. There was that weekend. That was
Right.
that weekend in LA. Man, that was like 3 years. That was 3 years ago.
Something like that.
Yeah. I forgot about that. I did do the commentary on that particular match, and you know when you were casting Walking Corpse the day before.
Dude, you got to beat a gut shot somehow.
Well, how about? Never mind. Just never mind. I'm not even gonna get started.
In the kingdom of one toughness, Walking Corpse is king.
Yeah. Joe gonna keep his hand, as is Brad. Flooded Strand gonna start things off. Misty Rainforest will be sacrificed. And Nelson will search up a land. That's just good deck building.
It is.
Volcanic Island is what Nelson does after, and we'll see if he's gonna go cantrip it on turn 1.
For the record, Walking Corpse not even close to the worst card I've ever cast in a big constructed tournament.
I believe you. You have cast Yamabushi's Flame after all.
Mm-hmm.
It's a ponder here.
And several thousand Tattermunge Maniacs.
That's a gut shot.
This is pre-gut shot.
I'm aware. The munge. Got to get him with the munge. See, the nice thing about that card is you can play it in 2 colors.
That's correct.
Yeah, green or red. You know, it's a goblin, too.
I know. There's so many synergies. It's insane.
An island for Bernal. And just passing the turn back, so pretty boring start to the game.
Yep.
Let's see some fireworks, gentlemen.
Well, Joe's got much more protection post-board. I mean, a lot of counter spells. So, and Brad's aware of this, so he's a lot less likely to just jam into open mana. And so there's going to be some jockeying. Report out on the floor, there's a person in a bear suit playing a bear deck. Not making that up.
That's actually true.
Who could make that up?
Yes, that's actually true.
Totally stone-faced, just playing a bear deck. What's the card from Future Sight? The +2/+2 to all of your creatures with no powers.
It's got a really weird name. Here's a defense grid. Like it actually has a name that's very difficult to pronounce.
Yeah, that card's in the deck because
it starts with an M.
Typically, bears don't have powers.
Okay.
It's a story tradition. It goes back to Alpha with grizzly bears. That's the start.
There are just bears.
There's just a guy in a bear suit playing a bear deck in the Legacy Open.
It is bear tribal. It is, and he's got a lot of views. Actually, there have been a lot of crowds around him. I'm not sure if it's for the suit or for the deck, but this is actually all true.
Who could make that up?
Bernal going to draw a card.
It's pretty bad news for Joe if that defense grid stuck because most of his disruption, you see a Elemental Blast, a Hydro Blast. It's bad times for Joe for this defense grid to go unchecked.
Arid Mesa going to get sacrificed here.
For those of you inquiring why we have not had him on camera, it has been a pretty tough run in the Legacy Open for the Bear deck.
Yeah, for example, how does the Bear deck match up against Training Nemesis? Probably a tough card to beat.
It is challenging, right?
It does seem fairly difficult.
Because most bears don't fly, being bears and all. And I think Joe now, there we go.
So see, this was future shifted, which means this could come back.
I highly doubt it.
This could come back here. Creatures with no abilities get +2/+2 with the, of course, Merganda Petroglyphs, as Brad is going to cast a Show and Tell. Let's see what he has. He has a sneak attack.
And the coast is clear.
I have seen this song and dance before. This is a Gristlebrand.
Is Brad trying to find the tag team?
Perhaps a Taylor Swift rendition.
Of what?
22. How don't you get my Taylor Swift jokes? How don't you get my Taylor Swift jokes? Unbelievable.
Because I haven't digested the whole album yet.
That's an old song. It's not from the new CD.
Then I don't know what to tell you. I guess I'm just not that big of a fan.
Lotus Petal. Emrakul. 22. Brad Nelson. 7-1. Made it look easy there, that's for sure.
Pretty depressing end of the tournament there for Joe. A mulligan to 4, and then, kept a pretty good hand there, but no counterspell for defense.